Welcome to the Red Story, and just subscribe so I understand that everything is not in vain. Make some tea or coffee and listen to our new story and subscribe. In the refined confines of their Georgian estate, James and Emily Sinclair found themselves at a crossroads. After 12 years of marriage, their relationship had fallen into the pattern of routine and unspoken dissatisfaction. Emily, once a vision of sensual grace with her flowing auburn hair and striking green eyes, had become restless. Her heart yearned for something beyond the familiar comforts of her well-ordered life. James, tall and broad-shouldered, had once been the embodiment of romantic adoration. Over time, however, the passion between them had waned. They had agreed to an unconventional arrangement, one that allowed each of them the freedom to explore their desires outside the bounds of their marriage as long as their actions remained discreet. One evening, Emily prepared for a night out with a blend of anticipation and apprehension. She stood before her mirror, carefully applying her makeup. The evening's outfit, a deep emerald green dress that clung to her curves, highlighted her refined beauty. She took a deep breath, her reflection showing a mixture of determination and nervousness. In the adjacent room, James watched her preparations with a detached air, though his emotions were anything but indifferent. His heart ached with a blend of sadness and unresolved feelings. He had agreed to their arrangement but was struggling to accept its implications. "You look absolutely radiant tonight," James said softly, his voice tinged with a hint of nostalgia. "Thank you, James," Emily replied, her gaze meeting his in the mirror. "I hope you can understand why I need this." James' response was a nod, his eyes betraying a deep-seated conflict. He knew that their arrangement was meant to address the void they both felt, but seeing Emily preparing for an evening with another man stirred emotions he had struggled to suppress. As Emily left their home, James decided to follow her, his curiosity mingled with his sense of foreboding. He trailed her discreetly to a quaint bistro where Richard, an old acquaintance and current object of Emily's affections, awaited. Inside the bistro, the atmosphere was intimate, with soft lighting and a gentle hum of conversation. Emily and Richard engaged in a conversation filled with familiarity and warmth, their body language reflecting an undeniable connection. "Emily, you look enchanting tonight," Richard said, his voice filled with admiration. "Thank you, Richard," Emily responded, her cheeks flushing slightly. "You've always known how to make a girl feel special." Their laughter and soft glances spoke of a deep-seated chemistry, and as the evening progressed, their closeness became increasingly evident. Their touches were intimate, their conversations laced with unspoken promises. "I've been thinking about tonight all week," Richard murmured, his hand brushing against Emily's. "I can't wait to see where this evening leads us." "Neither can I," Emily whispered back, her eyes locked on his with a mix of longing and anticipation. When they left the bistro and entered a nearby hotel, James' heart raced. He watched from a distance as Emily and Richard made their way into a private room, their gestures growing more intimate with each step. The sight of them together was a painful reminder of the passion that had once been the heart of his marriage. Inside the hotel room, the atmosphere was charged with an electric intensity. Emily and Richard's whispered exchanges were filled with yearning. "Emily," Richard's voice was a soft, almost reverent murmur. "You have no idea how much I've desired this moment." "Richard," Emily's voice trembled with a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I've been longing for something, someone to make me feel alive again." James, unable to contain his emotions any longer, burst into the room. The sight before him was a devastating blow. Emily and Richard entwined in a moment of tender intimacy. James's face was a mask of raw anguish as he stepped forward, his actions driven by a potent mix of hurt and betrayal. "Emily," James's voice cut through the quiet, filled with a desperate edge. "What is this? Is this what you truly wanted?" Emily's eyes widened in shock as she turned to face her husband. The moment of passion that had enveloped her was shattered by James's sudden appearance. She struggled to find words, her heart racing. "James, I didn't expect this," Emily stammered, her voice tinged with guilt and fear. Richard, disoriented and realizing the gravity of the situation, quickly gathered his belongings. James, in a surge of anger, pushed him away from Emily. "Leave now," James demanded, his voice sharp and commanding. "You have no place here." Richard, now fully aware of the volatile situation, hurried out of the room. James and Emily were left to confront the emotional fallout of the evening. As they stepped outside into the cold night air, James' frustration reached its peak. He grabbed Emily's arm, leading her away from the hotel with a sense of urgency. "How could you do this, Emily?" James' voice was strained, filled with both pain and anger. "After everything we've been through, this is how you repay me." "James, I needed to feel something different." Emily's voice was desperate. I thought this would help me rediscover a part of myself." James, overwhelmed by a maelstrom of emotions, threw Richard's belongings into the street. His actions were driven by a mixture of rage and helplessness. As Richard fled into the night, James and Emily faced the raw reality of their fractured relationship. Back at their home, the silence was heavy with unspoken words. The betrayal and hurt that had resurfaced were not easily forgotten. Their children, Lily and Jack, served as a constant reminder of the importance of family. Despite the challenges, James and Emily were determined to provide a stable and loving environment for their kids. Their shared past was filled with passion and tenderness. Emily remembered the early days of their relationship when James's touch was a constant source of warmth and affection. Their intimacy had been a fundamental part of their connection, and Emily's longing for that lost closeness had driven her actions. James, too, remembered their passionate moments, the way Emily had always made him feel cherished and desired. The realization of how far they had drifted from that intimacy was painful. "Do you remember, Emily?" James asked softly one evening as they sat together, trying to rebuild their connection. "How we used to be so close, how our touch alone could speak volumes." "I remember," Emily replied, her eyes filled with both nostalgia and regret. "Those moments were so precious to me. I miss that closeness, that connection we had." In the weeks following the tumultuous night, James and Emily sought therapy to address their issues. Through counseling and honest conversations, they began to confront the wounds that had festered in their marriage. They worked to rediscover the intimacy and affection that had once been the cornerstone of their relationship. Their love, though tested by betrayal and emotional upheaval, was gradually rekindled through forgiveness and renewed commitment. They faced their challenges with a newfound determination, knowing that their journey was far from over. With each passing day, they worked to strengthen their bond and build a future that honored the love they had for each other and their family. In the quiet moments they shared, James and Emily found solace in each other's arms. Their love and passion, though tempered by the trials they had faced, were rekindled through forgiveness and a renewed sense of commitment. The road ahead was uncertain, but they faced it together, with a shared hope for a future where their love could once again flourish.